Yeah, hello. When we get into a project, most probably the scope is already defined. And the next step as a project manager or as part of the planning team, the next step is decomposing the scope into a work breakdown structure. So in this video, I want to share with you how we transform or translate a high-level scope into a work breakdown structure. So here we have a project Greenwood, which is a housing colony to be constructed on the outskirts of the city. So that is the high-level description given. Now, by doing a work breakdown structure, we gain more insight into the details of the work. A WBS, one may not get a perfect WBS on the first go. Sometimes it takes multiple iterations, and very often it takes multiple subject matter experts or teams with diverse skill sets to come together and brainstorm to arrive at a work breakdown structure. We may need people from expertise in the construction, maybe from the electrical discipline, from the plumbing discipline, from the environment management discipline, from the procurement discipline. So we may need people coming from all these diverse backgrounds and working together while developing the work breakdown structure. Without a WBS, it is very difficult to estimate the project accurately, because we may not get clarity into the details of the project. So the work breakdown structure is the backbone of the entire project planning and execution. I'll explain this or share my experience with you through these mind maps. Now, this is the first mind map I did for this project Greenwood, the first level. Initially, I thought I'll do it the project, the process group wise. So I thought maybe initiation, what all things we should do for this project, then for planning, what all things we should do, and execution, what all things we should do, and monitoring and control and closing. Logically, this is right, because while doing a WBS, there is no hard set rules like, okay, one should approach the WBS in a particular way. So this is perfectly okay. This is the logical partitions like initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling and closing, and what all things I should do with an initiation planning. But then after some time I got confused, because planning itself, I have the site layout, then the building plans, then the common amenities, material, manpower. So this was becoming very complex. Then I took another approach. I went by the product. So here this is the second attempt of mine. So the whole project consists of maybe the site is there, the project site, the layout should be made, and the readiness part of it. It should be, the site should be cleared, and the plot should be earmarked for construction. So laying out of the site and then make it ready for construction, these are the two major things. Now once the site is ready, or there is no dependency, so this is one part of the work. Then we get into buildings. I have to design the buildings, maybe get into the construction part, and then commissioning part. Then the common amenities within the housing colony, like design, construction. Sometimes I construct things, sometimes I buy out things, and once all these things are done, it must be tested and commissioned. So this is the second level WBS I did. So a good approach can be sometimes, instead of straight away jumping into the WBS, you come out with the product breakdown structure. So you decompose the product of the project into the structure. So in this case we had the site layout, then the buildings, then the common amenities, then we try to decompose that. We can decompose that into smaller things, and then we can superimpose those things with the project management activities. So that way it becomes easier, and the chances of omissions will be lesser. So I always advocate a product breakdown structure first, then using that you expand that into a work breakdown structure, and we get it by superimposing the product breakdown structure with the planning activities and procurement activities and management activities. So this I expanded further in the next one. So here if you see, so here again I went to the site. So here is the site. If you see, I expanded that, the layout design and layout approval, and then in the readiness side I decompose that further into clearing the site, lay out the plots, then I need the water supply for construction, then I need electricity for construction, and we need to lay out the roads for material movement, and we need a place for material and equipment storage. So this is slightly more elaborate. So that is the site part of it. Then coming back to the building part of it, buildings must be designed. So the civil part must be designed, electrical, plumbing, interior, landscaping, and the woodwork, and the painting scheme must be finalized. So that is with respect to design of the individual unit building within the housing colony. Then construction of the building, again we have to do the civil part, electrical part, plumbing part, interior, landscaping, woodwork, and painting. Then we have to test for some time and then commission the individual units. Similarly, common amenities, again design, under design, civil, electrical, plumbing, and landscaping. Under construction also civil, electrical, plumbing, and landscaping, and then we need to integrate these things and then test it and then commission it. We may have to do a lot of things under project management. I have to appoint project managers, then procurement also. Some other thing, for all these things I may have to procure material. So there will be a lot of procurement related activities like requests for proposals, getting the proposals, awarding the contract, and quality control. All those things happens under procurement. Maybe I can add one more for risk management, and maybe for quality, maybe for resource to get the manpower and stuff like that. So there is still room for finer refinement of this work breakdown structure. So at this level, this has how many levels? We started, this is level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3. So this is a work breakdown structure with 3 levels, and we can go further down also, maybe 4 levels, 5 levels, can be very, very detailed. a work breakdown structure helps us to decompose the whole entire scope of the work into smaller chunks. Here the lowest level in a WBS I call as a work package. So in this case, this is level 0, this is level 0, level 1, level 2 and level 3. So design the layout is a work package, approval of the layout is another work package, cleaning the site is another work package, layout the plots is another work package. So it's the lowest level in a work breakdown structure we call as the work packages. And there is a guideline, like when we decompose the WBS about the scope into a WBS, sometimes we may not know where to stop. So if you decompose it to the finest level, it'll end up with activities. So that kind of granularity is not required while doing the WBS. So there is a guideline like 880 rule. That means when I decompose, these work packages can be within 8 hours and 80 hours chunks of work. For a small project, I decompose to the level of 8 hours. That means within 1 day's time I can complete this work package. For a large project, it can be even 80 hours. That means I should be able to complete it maybe in 80 hours time. So we call it as 880 rule. That is, 880 rule is the work packages must be between 8 hours and 80 hours of time. So we explained as we get into the project, we get a high level scope. Now this has to be decomposed into a work breakdown structure. The lowest level in the WBS we call as the work packages, and work packages can be between 8 hours and 80 hours chunks of work. We call it as 880 rule. A WBS doesn't give you any sequence of activities. It is just a breakup of work. Again, going back to our diagram here, now project management is not something that will happen after common amenities. Similarly, procurement is not something that can happen after common amenities. Similarly, finalizing the painting scheme is not something that will happen after the landscaping. So a WBS doesn't give any sequence of events. It is just a breakup of work. Very often it is a collective effort. We may need cross-functional teams to develop accurate work breakdown structure. So as a project manager, sometimes we may have to facilitate these teams, get these teams together and get their inputs and get them work together to come out with a good work breakdown structure. Thank you.